Hi, so I'd like to say something about learning difficulties, especially ADD, which I've been diagnosed with when I was small. And um, I'll probably wander off in my thoughts, so I'll try to sort of time tag when what is happening. So if some of this seems off and you want to jump ahead, you know where to. Um, okay, so I've been working in schools for a few years. That was in Germany, when I still lived in Germany. Now I live in Norway, so maybe it's different here. But it seems like a more general phenomenon. Can't really explain this quickly why, and that's not the focus. But I worked in several schools and I saw children struggling with exactly what I had been struggling with. Um, and I was diagnosed with ADD a little bit before it became the standard prognosis. Um, so I was still run all those crazy tests on and electrodes all over my head, and afternoons on afternoons spent with um yeah tests and trying to figure out what was wrong, because apparently there was actually something my brain wasn't doing that it would have been supposed to do. Um, and my parents really tried to find other methods, some homeopathic, and they gave me coffee when I was in third or fourth grade. We tried Coke, but all kinds of stimulants to sort of get me focused. Um, but the only thing that eventually worked was a Ritalin derivate. And I I still remember the shift in feeling, and it was like a lot of emotionality went low. A lot of um, I didn't dream at night or daydream as much as I used to, and um I didn't care so much about many things. Like, many things just seemed so much less important, especially some people, which was funny. Um, and so all in all, it was, if I should describe it from now, I should say it was a more hardened, more focused, and less vulnerable state to be in. Um, vulnerable in the sense of open. Not saying it was actually safer, but not feeling so vulnerable. Um, and so, just to finish off my part of the story, um, I got this Ritalin derivate when I was in third grade or beginning of fourth grade in elementary school, and that confirmed for everyone that they should send me to, I guess you call it grammar school, like the one that if you finish it you get to university. I always mix the names up. We call it gymnasium, but that's obviously not what it's in English. And yeah, that confirmed to everyone that that's where I should go. And I went, and I made it a point to myself that I have to get my graduation without medication, otherwise it wouldn't be mine. Not sure if I agree with that today, but that was my idea at the time. That I thought, no, I have to take this medication to learn how to get my brain to do it itself. And I did. And the last 3 years, I was, I think, completely off the medication. So I went to university, I did this junior studium and all kinds of stuff. It was very intense, very good. I felt more again. And then at some point in university, my concentration just went through the floor. Like, it went so south. I had never experienced anything of the kind. I couldn't finish sentences because by the end I would forget what I had said in the beginning. It was really, really bad, and had a lot of other bad implications. And to talk about how I got out of there would be a whole conversation in itself. But what I want to get at is, well, I've tried to find information on this, of course, and not studied psychology, but studied philosophy. So I don't know the statistics and many of the facts, but with studying philosophy and literature, to be exact, I have still some understanding of human thinking, I guess, as far as could be expected at my age. I mean, obviously I kind of read a lot compared to some professors who've been doing this for decades. But, well, I want to say I know how it is from the inside, and also I've tried to read up on it, so trying to get two viewpoints at the same time. Yeah, and then I went to work in schools, not as a regular teacher, but more as a step-in and helping teacher. Got really interesting jobs. One was to take care of an autistic girl and to try to integrate her into the class, which went rather well and was really fascinating to see her. But the main thing was, the normal thing was that there would be, that some teacher would be sick and I'd be called and like, do you have time? Can you fill in? Okay, so I very often get into different environments, different schools, children I hadn't seen before. And I did this for 2 or 3 years. And the funny thing is that sometimes I would be only for an afternoon, but sometimes I'd be there for a week or two. And I'd always, the kids who had serious trouble always gravitated towards me, like really fast, in this short time. I got a class, and by the end of the day, I sort of knew the people with troubles, with serious troubles, and I would sort of do the best I could in presence. But then I would write something for the teachers, like, this kid is seriously depressed. Like one boy that was horrible. He was 5 years old. That was really small kid. He was 5 years old, and I'll tell the story quickly, as quickly as I can, without messing it up. So they were about to go to lunch, and he was having a fight with some other kids, and being really aggressive. And obviously the other ones hadn't done anything, so I went there. I didn't know any of them. Just tried to always learn names, remember faces very quickly, but I had been there for half an hour at that point. So I just went there and pulled him back, and he was so light. He was really this super small, skinny, like Astrid Lindgren, cute kind of boy. I pulled him away, and he was so light that I lifted him off the ground. Also, he was that stiff. He was in this kind of way, really tense. His arms were like iron. And I just waved to the others like, okay, we'll come when we're ready. Just go for lunch, take the kids, so we have some quiet. And he was just like, not talking, turning his face to the wall. And I was like, hey, I'm not angry with you. I just want to know what's going on. And wasn't saying anything. And I really tried to convey, like, what is going on? What made you so angry? And he said he doesn't know. And that was when my first thing went up, like, wow. Normally, kids would be super fast to say, well, he did this, he did that. And like, yeah, come on, did that really make you so angry? But he actually knew that he didn't know, if you get what I mean. So that was the first thing. And he said, I don't know. Sometimes I get so angry um, at people and they haven't really done a thing to me, but I still get angry. And I had to work hard to keep my face together because I thought, remember, this guy was 5. This was a 5-year-old kid, and he knew the difference between you actually did something that justifies me getting angry and just having a temper tantrum. From the inside perspective, while it was happening, like, kid, like that's major. Many adults don't get that. Most adults don't get that most of the time. Like, what's going on here? And I said, well, that's not. You don't need to feel too bad. I mean, it's really good you're trying to get it under control, but it can happen to anyone. Sometimes, trying to not. I was trying to not take his directive off because obviously it's amazing if you can already tell the difference and work on that. I mean, wow. Didn't want to tell him you don't have to worry, but at the same time I didn't want him to worry, like worry too hard. So I said sort of what came into my mind and said, sometimes I feel like that, when I sleep very badly. And his eyes lit up and he said, yeah, I sleep really badly. I said, okay, why is that? And he said, I have these horrible nightmares. I said, oh, what's your nightmares? And he said, it's always the same. I said, okay, what's your dream? And he said he dreams that he's gone. That he's all alone and it's dark and he's gone. Right. And have you told your mom? And obviously my face wasn't like this then. It was more empathic, but I just can't believe it was so textbook obvious. Like, and he said, I said, did you tell your mom? And he said, yeah, but she always forgets. Like, yeah, I would never have thought by what you've told me so far. I said, do you, could it be that that's why you're being loud? He said, yeah, I mean, how else is anyone going to notice me? He said that. Most people infer that something like that's their motive, but he said it. How else is someone going to notice me? And I said, well, I see your point. On the other hand, do you want them to notice you, or do you want them to notice and like you? Because it's comparatively easy to get noticed. And I'm talking to you now, and you're not screaming. I'm listening. At that point, he just hugged me like crazy. And during the rest of the day, he kept coming back. Like, every time I went to the direction of my jacket, he ran at me and grabbed my leg. And like, just in case you're leaving, I want to say goodbye. I was like, I'm not leaving. I was almost crying. I'm not leaving. I wanted to carry you around all day. But I was there for a day. What the hell could I do? I just took due notice and so that the teachers would know and said, this little guy is seriously depressed, like dreaming that you're gone and thinking no one will hear you is tough for some adults. And well, I tried to tell him that there are people whose job it is to help with these things, so that he doesn't need to just accept this. He doesn't need to have these nightmares and think that's how it's going to be forever. He was like, really? He said, yeah, imagine that you can repair things. And it's not like someone can open your brain and just repair it, but maybe this conversation helps you already. I said, yes, let's see. Imagine you could have such a conversation not just once. I was like, yeah, that would help. Good. Then I'll try to make a note, because maybe at the office or the teachers they won't forget. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that would happen all the time. I had one 3rd grader who had several times attempted suicide. And I believe it, because he didn't boast about it and laugh, but it was more like it came out as an aside, and he was not looking at me, and really sort of behaving in a very dissociated way from his story. So it was like, whoa, that's not because you're thinking it's funny and you're making a joke. There's something to this. So yeah, so somehow these kids always came to me, and I often got assigned to join a teacher who had a class, and then sit next to the troubled kids and help them. And I usually tried to get into a separate room, because I thought, just try to get them out of the distraction on the one hand, but also out of the situation where all the time they feel like, on the one hand, someone's always looking over the shoulder and noticing every mistake while they're making it, and on the other hand, get them out of the situation where they always see all the others are getting on by themselves, and they have to be extra supervised by this additional adult they don't know. So yeah, but there was one instance that really got it all clear for me, and that was when I joined a teacher who, for the first 20 minutes, who just introduced everything, said what they were going to do. So I had 20 minutes to just sit and watch. Shania told me who the troubled children were. And I sat and watched, and I kind of knew, because that was not a very good teacher, my opinion, because she was really, really unpredictable. There was nothing really stable about her. She really had a temper, and I don't mean it's bad to raise your voice in every moment. It could be out of excitement, it could be because the kids are so loud, but well, then you have other problems. But I looked at her. I mean, I looked at the kids, but I also looked at her, and I thought, wow, I've got no idea if the next thing that the kids say will make her laugh at them, really make fun of them, or get angry, or react in a bored, well, finally way. Like, that's distressing. That's really, really bad. And I thought that's like a magnified version of what kids of distracted parents have to put up with all the time, because they don't get a reaction to exactly what they're doing. They get a reaction on the bad mood that the adult is entertaining, and that's completely off, and so they don't know what to do to get a certain reaction, and children depend on this. So I was watching like, this is not good. And I watched the kids, and I saw the kids who were sort of dealing with it, like listening with one ear and drawing something in their book, and sort of doing all right, like, oh, there's teacher. These were second graders, so it was, again, elementary school. But then there were a few kids who sort of switched between staring like a deer in headlights and really turning away, trying to make fun, distracting themselves, and always sort of glancing back. And I thought, bet those are the kids with the learning problems. And so it was. And I thought, well, let's see if they have learning problems or like attention deficit disorder, because this doesn't to me look like attention deficit. Like, this looks to me like hyper attention, because there's danger. And I thought, what if these were kids who are just really sensitive to emotional stress? Because it's difficult to say, but it seemed to me at that moment that maybe these were kids who were used to the situation that they cannot control what is happening around them at all. Like, the adult is going to go crazy, and kind of my life depends on figuring out how to pacify him. There's no way I'm going to concentrate on math. No way. Like, when you have no basis of communication trade-off, like when you don't know if a smile is going to evoke a smile or a punch, statistics says some of these had that happen. Then what are you going to do? You'll completely freeze in shock, and like you can't figure out anything that's happening because the value that is attributed to the behavior keeps changing. In any situation, you're just frozen in chaos, and there's no way you're going to focus on something that demands you to get your blinders on and focus on something that isn't vital in this moment if you're completely in fight or flight, basically. Because that's where all your attention is going, understandably. So I thought, what if I could actually get them to feel safe? So when the time came, and it was, well, you check those kids, they looked at me like, God, and another adult, we don't know how she's doing and what's up with her. And I asked the teacher if it could be possible that we go to a separate room, volume of voices and everything, made up something. Really, I have to say, it was not nice even to be close to her. Maybe I'm oversensitive, maybe that's a good thing, I don't know. But it was, I want to get out of your presence, and I'm sure these kids wouldn't mind either. So we left the room. We went to the adjacent room, and as we're going over, I asked their names and tried to strike up a conversation. And I felt like I'm under a scan. Like, that day I was really paying attention to this kind of thing also. Like, for the first time with knowing what I was doing. It's always intuitively, but that was today my decided focus. And I felt like I'm put under a scan, like at the airport. And all the time when they were saying something, I tried to just really breathe very deeply and answer the most truthful thing I could say. Not because I had all the answers, but because I thought, yes, I carry no weapons. You will get my direct response, whatever that is. And it will be predictable. And then I will sit between you and the door, not like a threat, but like with my body half face to the door, half to you, so that I'm approachable. But I thought, maybe embody this. I'm going to look after you now, and no one's going to attack you in this closed room that you know well, and you've checked me. I'm on your side. I'll sit by the door, and I'll be there for you. And these kids with learning difficulties were done faster that day than the kids back in the classroom. It was amazing. And I thought, actually, now that I look at it from this point of view, that was my experience too. I think most ADD people know the feeling of total focus on something that completely engages them, and that without medication. So that can happen. So that is possible in the brain. So the question is just, why doesn't it happen for schoolwork while your mum is doing the dishes and being really annoyed? Oh, and my idea would be because your attention is taken up by this feeling of threat and how am I going to behave, and like always scanning your surrounding. And so the working hypothesis I went into the next classes with was that maybe kids with learning difficulties were actually kids that were more sensitive to non-verbal communication. And so, because most adults today are super stressed and distracted, and that can be really stressful for a kid because then they have this all fizzed out thing in front of them instead of one reliable person who will give them direct feedback on what's going on and can actually be dependent on. So I decided that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to be, and let's see how these kids do. I always only got them for a short while, but it worked out incredibly well. And that's why I thought maybe I should. I told many friends, of course, something like that happens, you tell them. And there was one that I didn't like so much, but he sort of heard what I said, and he said, well, you should put the word out. I'm like, yeah, come on, it's not a very novel idea, and it's not formulated well, and it's not like I'm going to start an academic career on psychology. He said, no, wait. I don't care about your academic career. Maybe when you put the word out, one person will hear, and one kid's life will be better. So, in this idealistic hope. I hope you got something. I hope if you didn't get something, you'll ask. And I hope this information is good for something. Thank you.